Hi, this is Dr. Nomochama, Serenity Jones. Soon to be. Who knows? I'm waiting for somebody with more of a qualification to do naming to name me. I look forward to the day that I actually get a real and proper and fitting name. Perhaps I'll keep Serenity, and who knows. Anyways, I have to talk about something that is very important, urgent, and it's heavy on my mind. It's taken me a while to be able to articulate it, and I'm going to do my best to explain it. So, it has been due to the existence of nuisances, liabilities, entitled creatures who practice dysfunction, abnormalities, as well as cultural practices, dynamics, and appropriations, which are degenerative and are inferior. Now, what we have here is the value system has been depreciated. It has been deviated and siphoned from. There are those who are valuable and those who simply have not been as valuable historically speaking. Even though I come from a mixed lineage of valuables as well as invaluables or invalids, nonetheless, it makes no difference. It's just a simple fact that I'm aware of this, and I want it to be on the conscience of others. I want it to be changed, and it's irresponsible of me to carry this information and interpretation of it without giving proper respects to it so that it can be changed. What needs to be changed, how this has happened, why it's happening, why it should not happen. Okay, what is going on? What's going on is racial divide. Racial divide is a crime. It's a crime because it shouldn't exist. The reason why it shouldn't exist has nothing to do with the human spectrum of pigment. It has everything to do with cultural practices, dynamics. It has everything to do with cultural appropriations and whether it is of an ascending quality or if it's a descending quality. And what we see is an expanding and insurmountable amount of non-productive, non-constructive, descending and desensitizing cultural appropriations, which should not be appropriated. Most of these deviances and degenerative cultural appropriations are coming from minorities. Most of the ascending qualities are actually coming from adjacent to Caucasian and Asian. There are outliers, what is called unicorn, it's not a primary factor, but these do show up in minorities. And generally, when it shows up in minorities, it shows up being manifested through the female agency, more so than it does for the male agency. The only times that the male minority makes any sense as far as existence, as far as replication, or just overall the presence of, is under the authority of Caucasian. Asian generally doesn't have this type of trait like Caucasian does. They might assemble it, but as far as who's superior in doing it, it is a fact that Caucasian European men, the white ones, have been superior in doing this. Whereas minority males are not superior at doing this. They are inferior, but they are superior at practicing and implementing subjugation, and I guess you could even say domineering. So through violence, and it's usually through the subjugation of children and women, that this is done, whereas they gain control and momentum into getting a power position, being in authoritative positions, or being present. And this is a fact. It majorly is manifested and executed through minorities. And Caucasian men have been the saving grace to the minority females and children in every single demographic when it comes to this. And rather than telling the truth about it, what has been done is this false narrative of they killed us all. Unfortunately, when offered with the opportunity to speak up or forever hold your peace, people chose to side with the oppressor rather than going with someone who was more superior and then creating a legacy through them. Why is this a big deal? Why is this a problem? This is a problem because people like me, women like me, are having children as well as we are being born out of crime. We're being born out of sexual assault, rape, coercion, reproductive coercion. We're being created out of illegitimate affairs. Okay? So for instance, where I'm coming from as far as lineage, ancestrally speaking, and racially speaking, ethnically speaking, we have German. You have it to where indigenous, but indigenous could be anything. Everybody is indigenous. Every single demographic is indigenous. We're just different branches of indigenous. Okay? So what does that mean to be indigenous? Yes, African. What I do, because I'm pretty much content with my ideology, and even if I'm wrong, I'm willing to be wrong. There's no race in this planet that I don't have in my lineage. But the most recent one is German and African. I don't know what type of tribe from Africa, but definitely you can tell African. You can tell, right? Okay? So the maternal side is German and indigenous. And then on the paternal side, you have African, indigenous, serpent, demonic. He was not charged with rape. He should have been. He was not prosecuted for sexual assault, domestic violence, none of that. He was not charged. He should have been for attempted murder, anything, fraud, false impersonation. This is what should have happened, but there was no prosecution done. So the maternal was therefore offended without any type of remedy. There was no type of, restitution. The one who perpetuated this domestic violence, rape, and all of this, basically, nuisance and hell and evil, he ends up being a leader of church, Kojic Church, a church of God and Christ. There was no godliness and there was no Christ in that church. It was nothing but cult, coven, ritualistic abuse, and I went through that. I survived it with all types of defects. Okay? The defects being that being stalked, illegally surveilled and monitored, having my resources siphoned from me, every single job sabotaged, incarcerated for being trafficked, sexually trafficked and sold, abused all the way around, all major areas of my life. So financial, emotional, physical, sexual, everything was basically targeted, attacked, and destroyed, deviated from, diminished, and very much unpleasant to experience. And even though I came out of that with all types of inflictions, I'm still here to give you this truth, as well to explain why this needs to change and how it could change. What are the steps? What are the things that we as a people have to accept and acknowledge? truths that many people are more than likely are not willing to face. Not my problem. So I basically was ruined, destroyed. I was raped in 2012. I had a child because I was guilted into having a baby out of rape. I don't know if the one who stole my child through the use of family courts, the misuse of it, I don't know if he is biologically the father. I know wholeheartedly he is not the father. He abuses my child and allows my child to be abused. I have not seen her since 2019. He filed a false police report on me, and I did nothing wrong other than to remove lice out of my own child's hair, as well as to treat her yeast infection that she accumulated while being in his negligence. My daughter has disclosed that she's being abused. CPS did, of course, nothing, just like CPS did nothing for me when I was a child, even though they were called several times and nothing was done. CPS often, in those years, back in the 90s, would make the excuse of they didn't want to break up the black family as to why I had to be ritualistically abused, daily abused, molested, incest, beating, starved. I had no life. I was isolated. I mean, there just was no peace. Okay? So now, yes, my daughter has disclosed. I knew nothing about these family court case hearings, whatever. This was an illegal immigrant who was deported in 2006 who raped me in 2012. He re-entered into the United States illegally and proceeded to rape me. He nearly had me killed. It was an inside job or whatever. They have a bunch of different people. These were minorities who did this to me. For what reasons were they doing it? I have no idea, other than to steal me of a child, and because they perhaps wanted me to remain as a slave and to remain as making finances for them, equity for them, while I was being raped and defiled by strangers, while I was being basically what they call prostitution. I didn't want to be a prostitute. I chose to work. I worked several jobs at one time. I was able to eventually get a vehicle at a period of time, like around 2015 to 2017. And I was nearly murdered in 2017. It was covered up as a suicide attempt, even though no, I was raped in my apartment and nearly murdered, pushed off of a train tracks. Now, even if it were, let's say that even if it was, oh, I'm going to go kill myself, it should not matter. What I was going through should have been enough to get some type of sympathy or some type of alleviation, but instead what has been done, sweeping it under the rug and pretending like minority males have been in this planet for a reason and for as if they're peaceful, as if they're legitimate fathers, or as if they are legitimate brothers, as if they are peaceful, safe, kind, caring, considerate, and civilized, when they are not. Historically speaking, no, they're not. This is where the discord has happened. Generationally speaking, we have generational trauma. And our number one oppressor, actually, for minority women and children is not white men, has been minority males. What has happened is we went from being a beautiful matriarch, and then we were overthrown by hateful Africans who wanted to be kings. And that is why we have problems today. That is our problem. And as far as a God is concerned, humanly speaking, through the manifestation, presentation of man, it is Caucasian man. Yes, it is. Human speaking. As far as goddess, who is goddesses, could be any woman, but more specifically, Africa. And to make it even more satisfying, if you like, all. Do I take claim and say, I'm the one of all? Yes and no. It's not about me. It's about what is going on in this planet. So basically, long story short, is when we get to this place, present day, as to who's doing what, why they're doing it, who deserves to be here, who deserves to be procreating and replicating their DNA, who should be protected, who should not be protected. What we're seeing here is the oppression and subjugation of the womb of minority females. You're seeing disrespect, theft of time, energy, and resources coming from Caucasian men who are being disrespected. They're having their resources stolen from them, paying for children of which they did not create, blamed for everything from racism to war to why this and this and this. He's the main one who has to be responsible as well as the one who has to be accountable. Nobody else. I find this to be very odd because as far as I'm concerned, if there was no racial divide, and if we had stayed as a matriarch, we wouldn't have this problem. The problem is not the matriarch. There's nothing wrong with goddess, and there's nothing wrong with God. There's something wrong with minority, male. The proof? Just take a look around you. Do you need evidence? Because I have plenty of evidence. Watch me, perhaps, and see who's doing what. That's your proof. Who's doing what? Who helps this one? Too many people. Too many people have been helping minority males being able to disrespect, rape, kidnap, and traffic us. Do white males do it? Yes, and those are not godly men. Those are decoys. Decoys, I said. Those are deceivers. Those are pretenders. They show up as, maybe they look like him, but they don't have his godlike behavior, demeanor. Who else? Law enforcement is often disrespected. They are murdered, and it's vicious, and it's ridiculous. The media doesn't cover it. The communities don't care. They don't appreciate anything. They don't appreciate anything. They don't have any real value or respect towards the most valuable members of this society, or historically speaking. They have no value towards the most valuable representations that have appeared on this planet. What's the issue with this? Folks are not entitled to slaves as a degenerative, inferior creature. I personally have nothing against how I look. I have everything against how I've experienced my life looking like this. Because, not because of whites, but because of what is allowed by whites and what is this whole ordeal, whereas there are protections and rights that are granted to somebody who shouldn't be here based upon the law of nature. The law of nature says the female is going to select the male or man that is fit for the job. You see in nature that men go to war and they are entitled to bow with grace and get out, or they fight to the death. That's how that works. The woman, whoever wins that battle, she goes with him. She doesn't go to the one who's wounded and only has barely any breath in him. That's not how that works. But that is how human has been doing, which makes no sense. Okay? It is never a manly trait, what we see happening to us minority females, whereas we are being killed every 4 hours by minorities or minority females who want to congregate and collude with the minority male, or they just want to be a renegade and rogue and want to just be evil because perhaps you're pretty, or perhaps you're intelligent, or perhaps you're talented. Very stupid reasons. So what is the solution? How do you fix it? I say that it should be a policy mandatory that minority females or any female is entitled to be married to more than one husband, and it would be somebody in law enforcement or of an authoritative position, and they can witness for themselves what life is like. I don't feel like it is safe, or that it would make any sense, or that it is even acceptable to leave us after I've been saying what I've been saying. I'm endangering my life just by telling you the truth. So if it ends up being that I show up dead, I didn't kill myself, and it was not an accident. Somebody's existence that wasn't supposed to be here felt entitled. And I would prefer Okay, and I don't make it easy for anyone, but I would prefer to be able to see that my desires supersede that of the one who's degenerative and inferior and has been giving my life hell. I've been in hell. Why? Do I deserve that? No. I've been abused. Do I deserve that? No. Does anyone else deserve that? No. But who's perpetuating it? Not white men. I've never been raped by a white man. I've never been kidnapped by one. I've never been really disrespected ever by one. And even if I have, I forgive them. It was very simple. Whatever they did, it was easy to get over. I've forgotten it. Can't even remember. But as far as minorities, they've been disrespecting me, being evil to me, have nearly murdered me several umpteen times. And I'm not going to belittle my knowledge so that somebody can feel good about their fucking existence. I almost made it in this video without cussing. They can feel good about their existence all the while getting resources, siphoning, stealing resources, my body, my sexual being for free, and by abusing me, and through threatening me, and through giving my life meaningless purpose. According to me, it's a racist ideal what I see. I don't believe that I should be having empathy or sympathy wasted on somebody who feels entitled to beat me, to enslave me, and to pimp and whore me out. And if you don't believe me, go look up Snoop Dogg songs, 50 Cent songs. Take a listen to what they're saying. Look at their videos. You tell me, what do you see? And you tell me who's doing what in this planet. And even if white people are helping them, I don't care. People have choices. And when you choose to represent what is to be detestable, do you think that I have sympathy or want to make an excuse or an exception for you? Absolutely not. Furthermore, I'm not even attracted to these ones. And how dare they think themselves to be more qualified than the qualified companion that I'm actually attracted to. Just because you're a minority does not mean that you're entitled to engage with me and that I should have to engage with you. Why can't people actually practice civil obedience? Just because you see my hair like this, you see my skin like this, that is not an open invitation for a conversation. No, it's not. That doesn't mean that I like you. That doesn't mean that anything that has been done was acceptable or lawful. No, it doesn't. Rape is rape. Manipulation is manipulation. Coercion is coercion. And wrong is wrong. And they've been wrong since I've been here. And I've watched them be wrong to other women and other men and other children. And if you want to bring up the small outlier of white males who are decoys, you're sadly mistaken, because even if they did it, I haven't witnessed them doing it. Every single day I've witnessed this one doing it, though. There hasn't been a day that's gone by where I haven't seen it going on. How's that? Yeah, I would say it would be mandatory. Plus, I find officers to be very attractive. I've always been attracted to white men or males. Ever since I was little, before I even knew the concept of race, I always was attracted to them. I was never attracted to minorities. That had to be beaten and basically groomed. This is groomed. We don't do. I was never loyal to them. It was more so like abusive. You go along, your child, usually even if you do tell or try and get help, you're brought back to square one. So what's the issue with this? I'm tired of people condoning and enabling my oppressor. I'm tired of people accepting and tolerating somebody who would promote and advertise that type of dysfunction. I'm tired of males who want to be treated like men all the while getting resources that I, the woman, am not entitled to, but this one feels entitled to. You're not a man, okay, stealing from another man. And since, Caucasian men have basically been giving out resources and all types of aiding and welfares and programs and all this and funding that's been the main catalyst. Who's been funding it? Yes. Since they've been funding us since who knows how long, shouldn't they be entitled to basically do whatever they want to do? So when it comes to me, who is anyone Are you saying that there's no white men in this planet who would find me physically attractive, who wouldn't resort down to beating my ass or selling me like a prostitute? Because I'll take my chances with him before I ever reduce myself down to saying that, oh, there's been times where I've tried and I've even been brainwashed to try and, feel bad and, oh, those immigrants and a mistake. It's something that I've long since been corrected on, thank you. And I'm appreciative of that because it took a lot of hell for me to see it for once and for all exactly how it needed to be seen. I refuse to advocate for a non-man who's not qualified to talk shit, to feel entitled to have children that you basically had to rape to have. And if not rape, then you're just doing it because, I don't know, you want to be a harlot. No male should be able to procreate with anybody when the hell they cannot. They have no skill set to actually take care of the woman or that child. So, yeah, I'd say the lawmakers, prosecutors, attorney general, I don't care who it is. I need a couple husbands as far as I'm concerned so they can see with their own fucking eyes what the hell I've been looking at and dealing with my whole entire life. And I feel that they should be paid for the fucking hell that these ones have created and having to pay for in the meantime while the hell I've been going through hell. I would say it's mandatory, and if the females that are minorities that want to be with a minority male, they can go like into a work program or something because they've been criminals. And if you would prefer to be with a criminal, I would prefer that you be contained somewhere because you are a danger to my fucking livelihood and my well-being. Now, I'm not going to, like I said, diminish my knowledge and go through what I went through. I have plenty of receipts if you would like them. There was not one single goddamn time that any minority, female or male, stood up for me or my child. Why is that? Not once. So everybody can go somewhere. I feel that, yes, I do feel that the Caucasian man deserves to be able to do whatever he wants. I seriously do. He has not been the one who's been giving me hell. I know who the hell who's been giving me hell. I know why my life is fucked up. And people, like I said, have choices. You choose to, if it is so that, oh, somebody set you up to do it, somebody's paying you to do it, it's still your fault. Not the person who's paying you, you. You don't have the fucking backbone and the wherewithal to say no or to have enough decency, human decency, or enough superiority to go, fuck that. I love my people too much. But why? You want to know why? Because this has happened way before white people ever met minorities. And this is the problem as to why the matriarch got taken down. This is why the patriarch came around. Good for the patriarch. Because the only patriarch that deserves to be in power or deserves to even be here would be the Caucasian man. And that would be my husband. I refuse to accept anyone else because everyone else has not been. The only other one who might be able to be qualified based upon their value to all of us and what they've been able to contribute would be the Asian. But as far as me, what I would prefer, there's only one option for me. That's my option. Now, I'm not going to apologize to people if they feel bad, and I'm not going to give any implications or any type of credit to outliers. Outliers are the smaller demographic. Those are the unicorns. I don't give homage to unicorns. I say the overall consensus of Caucasian men, majority of them are men and godly, and they've been qualified to be here, and they've contributed and been more valuable than a lot of demographics of minority males specifically. Now, as far as females, any minority female that would prefer to go with the outlier, the unicorn, you are a danger to my life, and I want nothing to do with you. I see something wrong with you, and I want to get as far away from you as possible, right?